Sit rolling around, sitting on doves, can't lie, I was high on shrubs.
So time to go back with another video. I'm Strange Wang, he is Nate. Today we are doing a tier list for film genres. This is going to be weird because obviously we like some genres more than others.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the biasness is going to work, but you know how tier lists work. So we're going to get into it.
Alright, first up we have action.
And there's no subgenres in this either, which
Yeah,
is
it's
even
pretty
more
just
interesting.
like straight up.
Action's a go-to for me, so I'm going to say A, because sometimes it can have that emotional pull on your heartstrings, but most of the time I just watch action movies because I want to get invested and have fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go A, because it's not the full package, but it can be.
Yeah. I mean, some of the best movies I've ever seen are action movies. And I think like looking at it from a just even outside of myself perspective, based on just those movies and like the impact that action has on the movie world or genre, if it was just based on that, I'd be like, action's an S tier genre. But then I also think about the fact that like how many straight to DVD or straight to Netflix movies are like action movies that are just complete and total trash. So that brings it down. So I agree. I think A is a good spot for that.
Yeah. There's a lot more
But
bad action movies than there are T2s.
yeah, I guess I got to be careful with that though, because that's really probably true for every genre. You know?
Yeah, but that's a go-to, like...
Yeah.
When you walked into Blockbuster 30 years ago, you're hitting action, comedy, horror, and everything else.
I was 30 years ago, so I just went straight to the kids section. But
Holy shit. I wasn't even alive yet.
yeah, it's true.
God, 25 years... No. Damn. 15?
What year is it?
I guess 15.
I think 15 was probably like the time where like
That's probably fair.
they were having going out of business sales and I bought a ton of DVDs. Adventure.
I'm gonna go Sealess because there's not a ton of those. Because I feel like it just costs more money going to the jungle.
Sure.
Like Indiana Jones, Romance in the Stone. Well, I guess there's more adventure movies than just like jungle movies, I guess, too. Because Star Wars is an adventure film.
Star Wars is science fiction.
To a certain extent, it's an adventure film.
Yeah.
It's fantasy, you know.
Well, okay, I guess
sci-fi.
do this. Name a bad adventure film.
Ticket to Paradise. No, that's not it. What's that one with it's not great. It's the Romance in the Stone fake remake. It's Channing Tatum, Sandra Bullock, Brad Pitt's in it. Last year. Maybe it was this year. What's that movie called? It's not very good.
Yeah. Uncharted wasn't super good, but it wasn't bad.
No. B?
Yeah, I think B's fair.
These are in alphabetical order.
Animation.
This is another one where I feel like it has that emotional connection to it
Yeah, some of it.
and the playfulness.
Yeah.
But again, like action, it's 50-50. For every good action movie,
There's
There's-
Shrek.
one to two bad animated movies. So, is Lion King really worth 45 Lost in Time movies?
The Land Before Time?
Yeah, The Lane Before Time, all 45 of them. Straight to VHS copies.
I don't know, but I really love the first Land Before Time.
Yeah, but once they start making them, they make 6 of them.
Yeah,
Like Aladdin, there's like 3 Aladdins or
it's true.
4 Lion Kings or whatever.
Yeah.
They've actually calmed down on that since streaming happened. They just do little
Right.
shorts.
Yeah.
But still, do we need 5 fucking Toy Stories? No, but they're making another one. I feel like most animated sequels suck. Like, and it's a good movie, but Incredibles 2 doesn't hold a candle to Incredibles.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Incredibles 2 is a little
Finding Dory.
overreacted too. Yeah, but then you get the Spider-Verse movies.
Ooh.
And, you know, your Cocos and your Inside Out. And you really liked Luca. And, like...
You don't like Luca?
I didn't like it as much as you did. I thought it was fine.
A or S?
It's
I feel like
tough.
it's too many bad movies to be an S.
Yeah.
But you can say that for everything.
Well, I think we're just going to have to like devote ourselves to either we're going to refuse to acknowledge that anything is good enough to be S, or put those two in S.
No, I have
But-
one I'm putting in S.
Okay.
If this was subgenres, I
Yeah.
have two.
Well, yeah, subgenres would be a completely different story. But, all right, comedy.
There's more bad comedies than are good comedies, so I'm going B. Personally,
Yeah.
because it's so subjective.
It is super subjective.
I love Airplane. You hate Airplane.
Yeah, it's true.
Monty Python and Holy Grail is a classic, but we both hate it.
Yeah.
So where do you really land when it comes to comedies? It's
Yeah.
subjective.
I agree with you. There's way more bad than good, and I think the bad is really bad. So for me, I was gonna say C.
We can throw in a C.
But- Crime.
That's an A-list for sure.
Name a bad crime movie. Because I'm thinking about it.
You don't remember bad crime movies.
I have to
though.
think about it more. Because in my head, I'm like, is crime an S tier genre?
I'm okay with throwing an S tier.
Because think about like crime movies.
People forget about bad crime movies.
Freaking
though.
Heat.
Yeah, and I'm watching Insomnia. So
All
fucking
those
good.
series of movies that Jake Gyllenhaal did in the mid 2000s. Like, fucking.
It's not a series. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, just like this string where he was like
Prisoners.
playing a cop in every other movie.
Prisoner, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction.
Right? Yeah.
S tier.
I think crime's an S tier genre.
Like Seven. There's a lot of good shit in S tier. In crime, I mean.
Yeah. Zodiac.
Yeah.
It's a crime movie.
But there are some that you just don't remember. Like, the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo sequel that came out way too long and recast everyone. That's a crime movie.
Yeah, but see, here's
People
the
forget
thing.
about it.
Crime is just so closely tied to like another genre that's on this list.
Yeah.
That it's like it's tough to, because a lot of those that you're talking about that aren't good also have massive mystery elements to them, and so it's like. Anyways, documentary. This one's tough, there because there are some documentaries
Now put your ass to sleep.
that I was going the opposite way first. I was going to say there's some documentaries that will make me freaking cry. Like, documentary filmmaking can get incredibly emotional. And I also just like knowing shit. And so a lot of documentaries, I'm just like, this is incredibly fascinating. And then there's other documentaries where I'm like, oh my god, why on earth did they pick this guy to do the voiceover for this? Because this is putting me to fucking sleep. And
I feel like documentaries are dying too.
there's only so many interesting ways to talk about penguins. And like, so that definitely drops it a little bit. But that shit's made for someone. I mean, someone really loves putting on BBC and learning about the freaking Aboriginal tribes of the 900s. But
I feel like it's a dying genre because you get so much better work with more details. So everything's a docu-series now.
that's true.
You couldn't have done the Chris Ramirez thing as good as Netflix did it in 2 hours.
Yeah.
You couldn't do Arnold Schwarzenegger's story like Netflix did it in 2 hours.
Yeah. Did you finally watch that?
No.
Oh. But I think my other thing is, I think documentaries is maybe one of the most important genres because it is telling like real important stories a lot of the time. And so...
Yeah, but everyone shits on genres because, I mean, documentaries, because you got, as soon as you're in school, you're watching documentaries about something, and you don't want to watch those because you're in school. I'm in C tier for this, personally, because I would rather throw on a comedy than a documentary any day of the week.
see, I'm the opposite.
Where you at then, dog?
We could split it. That's fine. I would have put it in B, but... Alright, drama. You don't want no drama?
I feel like this goes in B because there is a little bit of subgenres out there, like crime. There's horror. I also see thriller on there, Western. But there are great fucking dramas, and then you get 10 bad dramas at the end of the year because they're trying to win Oscars and shit.
Yeah, it's true.
So
Looking at you, Hillbilly Elegy.
I'm talking about B.
I think that's right.
Hillbilly Elegy, that's a big one. Fuck that movie.
Yeah. Fantasy.
So I'm only thinking of Star Wars and Princess Bride here.
Oh, I mean, Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth.
Okay.
Pretty much anything Guillermo del Toro touches.
I'm also going B just because not everyone likes that shit. And for me, I'm not turning that on immediately anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue that, like, Conan the Barbarian is fantasy.
Conan is fantasy.
Yeah.
He fights a giant.
I'm just trying to think of...
The man
I'm
turns...
just thinking of fantasy.
He fights, turns into a fucking snake.
Yeah.
Barbarian. No, what's that movie called? It was like the Conan ripoff, but it had the Valkyrie on a unicorn going into the sun. Skarsgård was in it. Came out 2 years ago.
Oh, you talking about The Northman?
Yeah, that's a fantasy movie.
Oh, a great movie. I love that movie.
The Green Knight. They're good movies, but
Yeah.
I'm not running to see those movies.
Yeah. Well, that's just you, though. I mean, it's not just you. You said B?
Yeah,
Is that what
I'm
your
going
vote
B.
was?
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. There are not good fantasy movies. Like, there are some very not good fantasy movies. History.
Hey, my cup of tea.
Well, so I'm assuming this is talking about, like, your Odysseys, or your, like... Is this just anything that's a period piece?
Yeah, I guess so. Like Napoleon. I think it has to deal with history. Like Oppenheimer would fall in this category.
So
because
biopics
yeah.
that aren't super recent.
Yeah.
I mean, it has a sword and shield on it, so I'm assuming
Yeah.
this is like... We're talking going back a little bit.
Yeah. Like, I'm excited for Napoleon, but it's not because of subject matter. It's because of the talent
Yeah.
that's on that film.
Yeah. I mean, I like historical movies, but some of them are pretty... But some of them are great. Like, shit. What's that one with Timothy Chalamet? It's on Netflix. I think it's just called The King or something like that.
It is The King.
Yeah. Like, that movie's very good. I really like that movie. I guess you could throw
Braveheart.
The Last Duel.
Yeah. But I consider some of those things bleeding in too much in action.
I think this is a C.
C it is.
Yeah. Horror.
I'm going to go D.
Yeah,
because
this is very much so our list if we put horror in D. But it is, in fact, our list.
They put out some fucking bangers.
Yeah.
And a lot of the horror movies I like bleed into comedy. But there are some bangers. There's Shining, Hereditary, things like that. It Follows. There are some good movies, but out of any movies on this list, there's more good comedies than there are... Well, comedy's like 50-50. This is 40-60.
If that.
If that, yeah.
I was going to say like 1585.
Yeah. Like, there's some classics. Like, Nightmare on Elm Street is a very good movie.
Sure.
But the sequels are so hit and miss.
Well, there's
and
also...
that's even if you're a fan of
There's more junk horror than, like, junk anything else.
Yeah.
Maybe not more than junk action. But, like...
I don't know. I feel like junk horror is cheaper to make than junk action.
Horror is cheap to make in general.
Yeah.
Like... And, like, some of the junk horror ends up being, like, cult classics just because it's, like, so bad it's good. But, yeah,
It's our list.
Yeah. If it wasn't for, like, the ones that you mentioned, like Hereditary and, like, all the good, like, the A24 shit and then, like, the handful of other good stuff, this is an F tier, no doubt.
You take out every good horror movie that came from A24, and you have The Shining, Jaws, and It Follows.
And, like, the classics.
Yeah.
But usually just the first installment of the classics.
That means Jason Voorhees ain't even on that pitch.
So, yeah. Musicals. I feel like this one's tough because it's like most musicals that have been made in the last
don't get seen
15 years. Well, they either don't get seen, but it's like most people who see them love them.
Yeah.
Like Hairspray was not good.
A lot of people
really like Hairspray. But like La La Land, incredible.
Cats.
Cats is a good point of like a rare miss, but like both the Mamma Mia movies are very good movies. I really like both of those movies. And then you get into like Across the Universe, Once. Like I feel like musicals really rarely miss, and so to find their misses, you have to go back to the 40s, 50s, and 60s, where almost every movie was a musical. And then it's like some of those weren't great, but they all have that classic vibe to them, so it's hard to really judge them against like a standard.
Yeah.
And so to me, because of how many few misses there are, I guess it depends on how much you're taking cultural appeal into it, but if we were taking cultural appeal into it, we can't put horror in D.
I mean, they literally just made a commercial ripping off Grease with John Travolta.
That's true. They did with the dudes from Scrubs.
However, no one watches these movies except film buffs or people who just really like musicals.
Sure.
So, even with the small amount of misses, I'm going B. I feel like that's fair. Where
That's
were you
what I
at?
would have said.
Okay,
Yeah.
sweet.
Mostly because even though I love musicals and find them incredibly entertaining, a lot of them are still lacking that like extra.
Yeah.
All right, mystery.
Question for you.
Yeah.
What the fuck is the difference between thriller and mystery? There's a mystery in Psycho, but Psycho is a thriller.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like a single just pure mystery.
7? But that's a crime movie.
That's a crime thriller mystery.
Do we categorize these together?
Mystery and thriller?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
If that's
Because the only thing I could think of is like Knives Out and Glass Onion, which are maybe a little more mystery than thriller.
And Orient Express.
You're right. Yeah.
Clue.
If
we can get the 10, we got money.
Well, I don't think we can though. I mean, we have to like.
Exactly.
I think there's too
noir.
much.
I guess noir is where they're going with, and they just didn't want to call it noir.
Maybe,
but that's still crime, in my opinion.
It's really hard. Like mystery, thriller, and crime are just like it's impossible to not have them together. But there are thrillers that are not crimes.
Yeah,
but I think putting mystery and thriller together is fair.
That I'm going S tier because even if it hits a little bit harder for me personally. And when it just misses.
Yeah.
When that shit hits, you get Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. You get Hitchcock's whatever. You get the greatest films ever made almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And it's just like we said, I feel like those three are just too closely tied to not put them together. And I also just don't disagree with you. There are some thrillers that have missed, like Woman in the Window.
Yeah.
Or like
Run. People really like Run, but I don't like it. The Hulu one with the girl taking the dog pills to keep her crippled.
Yeah. And then freaking oh my god, what was that awful movie that we went and saw in theaters? That was kind of the same thing. Like the lady is like freaking keeping the girl and like her friend ends up getting her to kidnap her too, and they help them both escape.
What the fucking movie is this?
Oh man, you don't remember this? It was terrible. We hated it. It's like they meet on a train.
Girl on the Train?
No, it's not Girl on the Train. And like the lady ends up like it's like her daughter died, and so she like is keeping this girl as a replacement daughter. And then at some point in time, she locks her in a trunk.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
And like the friend comes and saves her.
Greta.
That's it. Yeah.
That was going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I remember that trailer, actually, and I was hyped. That shit looked so good.
Yeah.
Grace Moretz.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, that movie was terrible.
I'm glad I forgot about that. I'm going to have nightmares about how bad it was now, thanks.
Romance. Do we just put this with comedy?
Wow. I was going to go with A. Because for me, everything you said about musicals matched romance. but people see romance movies. But again, like a lot of romance blends into other genres, comedy, rom-coms, musicals like La La Land.
Well, when was the last pure romance movie you saw?
That is fair. That is fair.
Like, they just don't make them anymore.
Yeah.
And like even back in the day, it was still really blurred. I mean, so like The Notebook is probably like the most popular one of the last 30 years.
I've made the argument before. Yeah.
And like
they just don't make them anymore.
Yeah. Which is also, well, shit. I mean, they make more musicals than they make pure romance movies.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to go see, that's a fair point.
I mean, we can split the difference if you want.
No, I mean,
but
I'm thinking about Casablanca and
yeah, but even Casablanca,
time.
Casablanca is to me maybe the most romantic movie ever made, and then the whole point of Casablanca is him choosing to give up the romance for.
Oh, Past Lives.
For beating Nazis.
We literally just watched one.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But again, I mean, it is in the romance genre. It's just another failed romance movie.
Which I think is good.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm not suggesting that we should, because that's not what this list is, but just for the sake of conversation, if we said, fuck comedy and romance, we're treating them together as romantic comedy, where would you put it?
A. Like action. There's too many bad ones, and even if some are bad, I still like them sometimes just because I love that genre.
Yeah.
Now let me ask you something, because we still got more on here.
Mm-hmm.
Subgenre. You get one subgenre to add on here. I mean, mine's going in S, so I'm assuming yours is going in S. What is it?
Coming of age, and I put it in S.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Because it's a spin-off of genre, but it's usually light.
Mm-hmm.
And it has comedy elements most of the time.
Yeah.
Coming of age and crime thriller to me is
the two
best cinema.
Yeah. I think that's true. All right. Science fiction.
Wherever
I just wanted to hear what your thoughts were, but
wherever you want to put it one under.
Okay.
Because that shit's not for me.
Yeah, I know it's not for you. Science fiction is similar to horror in a lot of ways, in that you can use that medium to talk about certain issues that you couldn't just openly talk about otherwise, because you can use aliens or technology or whatever as a metaphor. And in the 60s and 70s, you got a lot of really bad science fiction, but the science fiction that is incredible, because you also get 2001: A Space Odyssey in that, which I think is overrated as fuck, but everyone else seems to love it. You get Ex Machina. You get Upgrade. Is that what that movie's called?
Yeah, that's called Upgrade.
Yeah.
That's a weird one to go with.
Well, I was just thinking of ones that everyone's like. Her. I think you could definitely argue Her is a science fiction movie. And I think that science fiction has brought about like a lot more good movies than horror has. And I think that like
Interstellar,
The Martian, like people's love for science fiction, and it might just be the circles that I'm in because I love science fiction. I'm sure if I was a part of like horror communities on Twitter, then I would feel differently. But how about war? What is it good for?
Absolutely nothing. Why?
Ooh.
Get back, y'all.
Yeah, I mean,
see.
Yeah, so
they don't make.
I'm gonna start
really
off
bad horror. I mean, war movies, but I just don't like to watch them.
Yeah, I was starting to think. I was trying to think of the what's the Mount Rushmore of war movies? Saving Private Ryan,
Full Metal Jacket. What's the one with John Wayne and no, it doesn't have John Wayne. It does. I don't know if it does or not. The Longest Day. That's a classic war movie.
Yeah, but so is the original All Quiet on the Western Front.
There you go.
A Bridge Over the River Kwai.
I think the first four said to me that would be. Yeah. Those are the ones I've heard of the most.
Well, you've also got 1917.
Ooh, yeah. That's fire. Dunkirk's one of my personal favorites.
Dunkirk.
Tetris, technically.
Okay, Top Gun, technically.
Well, Tetris is about the Cold War,
Yeah, no.
technically. Top Gun 2, Maverick, I'll put that on there.
Yeah, so like
They don't
they
miss.
don't make, and I know you don't like it as much as I do, but Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah.
If you want to blend the two, Rogue One.
I'll put Rogue One on there.
So
I think I did when we did our war movies list.
I think this is a B. I think the highs are high enough.
Yeah.
Even though
They make them more than musicals too, I feel like, as well.
yeah. And finally, Westerns.
A dead genre that don't missed. So I guess we gotta go B and 2, you know? The last time they made a bad genre was the Sister Brothers, and we were the only two who thought that movie wasn't great. You hate it.
Yeah. I really did not like that movie.
It's below average.
Yeah.
It doesn't deserve its Rotten Tomato score.
I wasn't big on The Power of the Dog either. People loved that movie. But I liked it more than The Sisters Brothers, for sure.
I've never finished that. Well, you got Django. You got The Assassination of Jesse James, long-ass title, whatever that movie's
Coward Robert Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Yeah.
You got
The Hateful Eight.
The Hateful Eight. You got the True Grit sequel. You got a ton of great westerns in there.
The Untouchables.
The Untouchable. What? They ride horses in one scene. No. People Love. Tombstone.
Yeah, that's what
the '90s had a lot of good ones.
Right.
Unforgiven.
Good, Bad, and the Ugly.
Yeah, you get into that '70s,
Spaghettis.
'50s era, and it's just peak westerns where they involved, and they were like, "Well, we can show a little bit more."
Yeah, you also get. I understand this. You know, Western always crosses over with crime, pretty much. You almost always have a sheriff trying to do something. But, I mean, even when you get into, like, neo-Westerns, you get No Country. You get, what's the oil movie I like? My brain's not working today.
There Will Be Blood.
There Will Be Blood.
Hell or High Water.
Hell or High... Yeah, that's the next one I was going with. And so... I don't know. I know they don't make them anymore. I kind of want to say A.
Throw in an A.
But...
Because that has, like... To me, to make a Western... And you can say that about other genres too, but you have to use all of film. You can CGI a background,
right?
But I've never seen a Western with a CGI background.
Yeah, like what I mean,
Cowboys and Aliens. Sorry.
Yeah, Jonah Hex.
Yeah,
that was a movie that got made.
Yeah, you gotta have good cinematography. You gotta have a good story.
Yeah, you have to make people give a shit about your character.
Yeah.
At least the main one.
And the acting, you have to have a stereotypical strong male who doesn't show feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to hit his lines and be a badass. But he has to show emotion and rawness in his body language.
Yeah. You have to convince us that this otherwise cold person is like a force for good. And cares about justice.
Yeah. And most times in Westerns, you have to have a human with no superpowers be so dastardly or feared that we as an audience has to dislike this person.
Right.
Like in Django.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have an actor that caliber to Leo and Sam for me to go, I fucking hate Steven and Calvin Candy.
Yeah. Right. And they even touch on that in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he has to bring that really good acting into being the bad guy in a Western.
You got to have a Tuco.
Yeah.
Or Blondie. No one gives a shit about Blondie.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And
Expendable.
And even Tuco isn't even the big bad of that movie. It's Lee. Fuck, I forgot the rest of his name.
Harvey Oswald?
No. JFK's a good drama, though. Historic history, there it is.
Well, you put that in C.
Another one for history. But to me, you have to be a good filmmaker to make a Western. And I feel like not every filmmaker can make a Western.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. So, if there was a genre, what's something that's not on this list that is F tier? Is there any genre that you think is an F?
Porn.
Okay. Why?
The technique's bad.
Yeah, well, that's true.
There's no good dialogue ever.
Yeah, not enough focus on story.
Not enough originality. everything's a parody, or this motherfucker is getting a pizza, or is a stepmom or something.
Yeah. If you'd asked me 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said video game movies is a subgenre that's an F. But
Yeah.
they're starting to step their game up a little bit. So
It's a D now.
yeah.
Where would you put superheroes as a genre? Because we're both sick and tired of it.
I mean, based on Marvel, and the thing is, I'm not gonna sit here and act like there's not a single MCU movie that I don't like. I really, really love some of them, and yeah, its longevity and the amount that is just crammed down my throat every year has 100% jaded me on them. But I can't act like there's not some I don't like. But I also can't put it too low, because some of them, some of the most important movies to my childhood are in that genre. Batman 89, Batman Returns, complete and total guilty pleasure, Batman and Robin. And there's even movies that I know are bad that I just really, really like that are in this genre. Like, you still probably never seen Push, but I really love that movie. The Incredibles is a superhero movie. So it's like, I'd probably go C, honestly.
I was thinking B, because some of them can have emotion in them. But back to your question, I guess gross out horror is where I would put F.
Oh, I'd put gross out comedy in there for me,
because
too.
I don't want
I hate that.
to see Human Centipede or Serbian film or Cannibal Holocaust. Is the Antichrist, is that a...
I don't know.
I kind of want to watch it because William Dafoe's in it.
I just remember
but also,
you
I
telling
hear it's really fucking disgusting.
I just remember you telling me about walking out of Raw.
Yeah, Raw's kind of good though.
Yeah,
It's gross.
you kind of like cannibal shit
I've never been so white in my life.
because you really liked that Sebastian Stan movie too, Fresh.
Yeah, I really like Cannibals. Hannibal's really good. Silence of the Lamb. But I wouldn't really say it's gross out horror for the most part. Like, obviously, as the subject matter, you have to eat someone sooner or later.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not going out of the way to be gross.
Sure.
Like, Cannibal Holocaust, they're like killing turtles and eating them and shit.
Yeah.
And Human Centipede 1, 2, and 9 or whatever they're at now, they're like pooping.
How do you feel about space movies?
Space movies?
Mm-hmm.
That's sci-fi. Fantasy.
Well, I mean, not always, because you got like Apollo 13,
That's where
First Man.
Armageddon. C.
Armageddon's a little
C
more
or
on the
D.
science fiction side, but
C or D, probably.
I learned that's my boss's favorite movie.
Bald mustache guy. Looks like a bird with his nose. He's got the little U. The one that used to come in the restaurant all the time. On business.
I have no clue who you're talking about.
He's tall.
Oh, no. Not my big boss.
Okay.
No. Just like my direct supervisor.
It would make sense for him too, I think.
Maybe. He's probably more of a
He's probably home smoking a cigar with some gin, watching Dirty Harry right now.
I was about to say, he's probably more of like a Tombstone guy or something like that.
Next time we see him, asking for me.
Yeah.
But that's our genres. Let us know where you would put these, what we're wrong about, and hit the like button while you're down there, and subscribe.
It's not a game, it's a rich thing.